Alrighty, I have had a few days break. I'm aware of that, and I apologise gravely in my absence because I actually got videos out over the last few days, and especially over the weekend. So I'm starting to get in a better groove slowly. It's taking time for sure. It is taking some time for me to actually work this out and get completely built up towards it. But I am getting there. I'm making time within my week to be able to do this, and I'm, sort of building the structure towards it. I think we're about a third of the way through the teams. I think I've done about 10 of them now. So I'm sort of just starting to structure. I'm not really keeping count because I will stop when I've done every single team. Every single team, the last being the Wizards. So Washington Wizards fans, I apologise, but we are still a while away from you guys, which sucks because even my Warriors are up towards the end, and the Lord only knows I have a lot of things to say about my own team. So Miami Heat today is an interesting one. They have not done a lot of things this offseason. Obviously, I bet the biggest thing that the Miami Heat have done this offseason is be a part of Kevin Durant trade rumors. That was about it. Because everybody thought Miami were all but the front runners for Kevin Durant. And then next thing you know, he is shipped down to Houston, and that was the end of that. So for Miami, I think it was sort of a kick in the guts, but at the same time, there was reports and stuff that apparently they refused to get rid of Jaime Jaquez in the deal, which to me, there is a lot of upside to Jaime Jaquez, don't get me wrong, but it's Kevin Durant, and Kevin Durant will win you basketball games regardless of what time of the year it is, what time of day it is. He's just going to win you basketball games. So when you get the opportunity to deal with a Kevin Durant, although he is slightly older, I would still pull the trigger on this deal. That's just me, but obviously Miami wants to build into their youth, which I sort of understand to an extent because Tyler Hero, he's still young. I think Bam's mid-20s now or something. He's been playing basketball for quite some time now, but he is still sort of in that sort of youth area. But yeah, they're literally just trying to build off what they already have going, and I can't really hate on them, to be honest, for that. The biggest actual move that has been made by the Miami Heat this offseason is bringing in Norman Powell. The fact to me that although all the firepower they gained last year, for the Clippers to get rid of someone like Norman Powell, who was he was probably the best third option in the entire league. Better than your Austin Rivers, better than your Jaden McDaniels. All of those sorts of guys. I would have him over every single one of them. They weren't paying him a squillion dollars like every other team seems to be doing for every single player these days. And he was giving instant offense onto your team, game after game. Obviously, during the playoff run, when they went into that first round series against Denver, he was a bit quieter at times. There was quarters where Norman Powell dropped 20 points, and then there was quarters where Norman Powell dropped 2 points. So it was one of those things where he was a bit of a microwave in the sense that you didn't know what you were going to get out of him, but the things that you could get out of him were so good that you literally could not refuse to have him on the court. But yeah, one man's trash is another man's treasure. So Miami have swept in. They've grabbed Norman Powell just like that, and he will play a really good piece to Tyler Hero. Tyler Hero hopefully this season won't have to carry as much as the offensive load as he did last season, because as generational as that play-in run from Davion Mitchell was on the offensive side of the floor, especially in that overtime, if you watched the game, you would know everything about it. The man was literally on fire. There was no other way around it. For a guy that is primarily a defensive player, he just showed up and hit 4 threes in an overtime and sank, I forget what the team, I might have been the Bulls. Potentially, one of those teams. But it was unreal. It was ridiculous to watch. So You're not going to get that from Davion Mitchell every night. And I feel like bringing in Norman Powell to do this sort of thing is monumental for their locker room. Because now Tyler Hero does not have to be every single piece of their scoring for night in and night out over all 82 games of the season. Bam can focus on his jump shot a little bit more. Obviously, Bam is slowly starting to bring his jump shot up into a place where it looks a lot better. And he's actually starting to shoot the three ball. And that is the next big thing for Bam's game. Because we know how good of an interior defender Bam is. We know how good of a perimeter defender Bam is. Like, everything on the defensive side of the ball, you tell Bam to do it, he is going to do it. It's just his offensive side of the ball. He's got that little mid-range, that little push game that he can play when he's 10 foot from the basket. But when it gets any further than that, then he starts to get worried. So to complete Bam's game, if he can start to find his jump shot, that would be monumental for the Heat as a whole. Norman Powell is going to bring so many good things to this team. I feel like he boosts the ceiling just a little bit. Obviously, I don't see the Heat making a deep playoff run or anything just yet. But you've got guys like Andrew Wiggins, who, if anyone knows about me and the Warriors, I love me some Andrew Wiggins. The dude, he's just that guy that does literally everything you want him to do. He's one of those guys, followed up with a Norman Powell, who's going to give you a lot of offensive output. Same thing with Tyler Hero. Bam's going to do his thing on the offensive side of the ball. It, for me, now that I'm really talking about it, it's actually making me feel really good about the Heat. The more that I'm actually talking about it, the more that I'm actually convincing myself that the Miami Heat might actually be a pretty good basketball team this season. You've got Davion Mitchell, who is an absolute defensive menace, and he will pair perfectly with your Tyler Heroes and your Norman Powells, who Norman Powell is okay on the defensive side of the ball, but we know Tyler Hero could not stop a fly if it wanted to go past him. It's as simple as that. So he is a perfect piece for them just to play in that backcourt. Andrew Wiggins is going to be the defensive guy. He's going to be the partial offensive guy that you sort of want from your wing in this day's NBA. Bam is an all-defensive player. I'm not sure if he's cracked All-NBA just yet, but he's been right on the cusp of All-NBA a couple of times. He's been an all-star, obviously, but I don't know if he's quite cracked All-NBA yet, so we'll see how that goes. But yeah, they actually will be a good basketball team. The biggest thing that I can really say about the Heat this season is, just like what I said with the Kevin Durant trade, it is going to be a matter on how their youth develops and how effective their youth is off the bench this year. Because you've got your Nikola Jovic and you've got your Jaime Jaquez as your biggest two guys. Those guys need to be detrimental off the floor. As soon as they come into the game, they need to be impact players. Because if you don't get impact out of those two guys, they are the guys that you're putting a lot of eggs in the basket for at the moment. Like, you're expecting those guys to blossom and really be the best version of themselves. You need that in order for this team to work. Because we know how good of a coach Eric Spoelstra is. He's going to continue to coach his ass off no matter what, where we are in time. He needs to get the most out of these two guys. And a guy like Andrew Wiggins and a guy like Norman Powell will help with both the defensive and offensive side of the ball for these guys. Because they've shown sparks on the offensive side of the ball, but not so much defensively. So if they can develop their defense and if they can develop their offense to reach that next level, to be consistent three-point shooters, can at least score a little bit off their own dribble, that would go a long way towards this team. That's the biggest thing for them. And I feel like if you can get that from your bench, I can see Miami making the playoffs this year. We know the Miami Heat have been hard stuck in the play-ins for the last 100 years by the feel of it. I'm pretty sure they have far and away the most play-in wins out of every other team. Because the only repetitive play-in teams that I can think of is like your Pelicans, who the Pelicans, I can only remember beating OKC a couple of years ago, and the Atlanta Hawks, who Atlanta Hawks have made the play-in a lot of times. Unfortunately, they just haven't won the games. They didn't do it this year. They hadn't done it the year before because they lost to Miami. And it's just been a constant cycle. So Miami actually wins games, makes the first round, and then bombs out. Other than that one Jimmy Butler year, but that's a whole different time for Heat fans. That's not really a time that Heat fans talk about anymore. They're moving on from Jimmy Butler, so, we're going to let them do that. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That is basically what I've got for the Miami Heat. They are a promising team. And the more that I talk about them, the more that I actually see it in my head as them being a pretty decent team. My prediction would be a first-round exit, but time will only tell. I mean a first-round exit in like a 3-6 matchup. I don't think they make the play-in again. If they do make the play-in, they will make the playoffs. But I really don't want Miami Heat fans to go down that same rabbit hole again because they have time after time. So yeah, that's basically all I've got. Miami fans, you've got things to look forward to this year, which is great. The more teams that are competitive in this league, the better. It's better for like every fan to have some sort of hope about their team because you've got teams that sit at the bottom of the barrel for years and years and their fans go ghost mode. Like, it sucks. So who knows what's going to happen with Miami, but that's the way I see it going. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys could give it a like, subscribe, that would be amazing. I'm continuing this journey. Short form, I keep talking about it. The short form is in the process of getting done. That will probably be the next couple of weeks that will start. So your TikToks and your Instagrams, all that sort of shit will be coming soon. Excuse my language. We're very close. And we're gaining traction on the channel, and I'm loving every second of it. Thank you guys for watching. I will see you guys tomorrow. I'm not sure who's tomorrow, so I'll get the video out anyway. I'll have to look at who's next when I get to it, so we'll work it out. But thank you guys. I will see you guys then. Thank you.